Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about the new Ninja Turtles film, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This is a new animated reboot by producer Seth Rogen and his longtime producing partner Jeff Goldberg. Jeff Goldberg, I believe his name is. Um, Nickelodeon has owned the rights to Ninja Turtles for a while, so they were obviously one of the producers on this film as well as Paramount Pictures. And so in this new movie, you guys, basically, like I said, it is animated. It has no connection at all to Out of the Shadows or that 2014 reboot from way back in the day. But in this new movie, the Turtles are living amongst, they're living in New York City as always, but they're Master Splinter in the sewers. And Master Splinter does not want them to go out very often. He doesn't really trust them out in public. He doesn't trust people very much. And so every time they have tried to go out in public and try to talk to people and interact with people, something bad always really happens. So ever since the Turtles were young, Master Splinter does not want the Turtles interacting with anybody. He might send them out for groceries or something small every once in a while, but for the most part, he wants the Turtles in the sewers with him and nothing more, nothing less. And so over the course of this movie, the Turtles are trying to figure, what would it be like to be human? What would it be like to be a student in school and to have human friends and to be able to do stuff with, people who are living in New York City and get to do everyday people stuff that they get to take for granted and we never get to do that kind of stuff. But the Turtles feel like their luck has finally come to them when they find out that there's other mutants within New York City. And so basically at first they're really happy about this because they're happy that they're not the only mutants that live amongst New York City. There's a Superfly voiced by Ice Cube, there's an alligator, and there's Reebok and Rocksteady, and there's all these other mutant characters that you might recognize from like Ninja Turtle action figures and video games and the movies and so forth. But it's not all fun and games. They do find out that these mutants have this plan to basically turn every human in the city into mutants with this thing that Baxter Stockman left behind, because Baxter Stockman at this point in the story is no longer alive, but he is at the very beginning of the movie and kind of causing these other mutants to happen. For those who do not know who Baxter Stockman is, he basically was the guy who made the Mousers in the Ninja Turtles cartoon show and stuff. So that's basically who that is. And so basically, they want to turn all the humans into mutants. The Ninja Turtles are not okay with this. They want to live amongst humans, be accepted among them. So they strongly believe that going amongst this plan is not going to help their cause. It's not going to help them get accepted amongst people. So it's basically up to the Ninja Turtles and Master Splinter and a new version of April O'Neil that we're introduced to stop these mutants, to make sure that humans do not get turned into mutants as well. But overall, guys, I enjoyed this movie. There is some things I'm going to talk about, my negatives, that I think make this a not so perfect Ninja Turtles movie. But for the most part, this is a very fun time at the theater. If you're a Ninja Turtles fan, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this movie. It is a very fun, new interpretation of the Turtles. Once again, I know the Ninja Turtles, I believe this is the 7th time that Ninja Turtles has been done on the big screen at this point. But it's a fun movie. There's a lot of things I really enjoyed about it. So let's go over some positives and negatives of some things that I really enjoyed about this film, but things I think could have also been improved upon also. For my positives, I do like that the Turtles did feel like teenagers this time around. It really did feel like, it didn't feel like an adult trying to write teenagers. It did feel like teenagers writing for teenagers. So I don't know if a lot of that might have been improvised by these young actors that were recruited to play the Ninja Turtles, the voices. I don't know if Seth Rogen and the director of the movie and his other producers just kind of allowed these teenagers to do their thing in the voice acting sessions and kind of play off of each other, see kind of what works best for them to feel like the Ninja Turtles and so forth. But for the most part, however they did it, however they wrote this, whether they did write something down and saw how a teenager might have interpreted that, however they chose to do it, I thought was very well done. The Turtles do really feel like teenagers, so they really do truly live up to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I also thought the animation style was very unique this time around. It's not just, CGI animated. It's not just trying to copy the Spider-Verse movies. What they do is there's scenes where explosions happen, or where like something with static happens. There's like a really squiggly line that illustrates that. So just the way that you'll see what I mean when you see it. It's a very unique way that they respond and exaggerate certain things throughout the story. So however they chose to animate this, I thought was also very unique. Once again, it does kind of feel like if you asked a teenager to come in, you did a series of drawings for them, Ninja Turtle wise, and you ask the teenager to kind of do their own little interpretation of that. There is kind of scenes where it does feel like that, kind of like an intentionally amateurish, intentionally done by a teenager. So I thought the way that they animated stuff in this movie, the way the animation style was done, was very unique in this movie. I also thought the scenes where the Ninja Turtles get to be ninjas and they get to have stealth moments throughout the story, all that was very effective for me. Anytime that they're at a grocery store or trying to watch the drive-in movie or trying to do stuff that you would imagine the Ninja Turtles being attracted to, all that worked for me. All that felt like stuff that Ninja Turtles would be doing as far as being ninjas go and being stealthy would go. So I thought all those moments worked very well in this movie. They handled it very well here. I also like the themes of the turtles becoming family and trusting each other. There is a big theme about that throughout the movie, specifically with the character of Master Splinter. There is a lot of times in the movie where he just does not trust the Ninja Turtles going out and about, and so there's a lot of scenes and moments where the Turtles and Master Splinter are trying to kind of unite with each other, learn how to be a family. When society is not accepting them, how do they kind of cope with that? How do they move forward? How do they kind of bond with each other while living in the sewer and stuff? So there is a lot of times where the film does become about family and about trusting each other. All that I thought was done very well here. I also thought the nods to the Ninja Turtles music, their video games, and action figures were also very effective here. Like I said, some of the mutants that they meet throughout the course of this movie are characters that you probably are going to recognize from the video games, from the action figure line back in the day, from the music from the TV show. For those who have not seen Secret of the Ooze or haven't seen it multiple times, there is a song from that does kind of show up here very briefly. So there's a lot of fun with stuff like that. So if you're a huge Ninja Turtles fan, if you're able to kind of connect the pieces on certain things as far as Ninja Turtles are concerned, I think you're going to have a lot of fun here, a lot of fun nods and mentions of nostalgic Ninja Turtle properties here. I also thought Ice Cube and Jackie Chan did really fun in their voice roles. Jackie Chan was the voice of Master Splinter. Ice Cube was the voice of Superfly, the main villain of the movie. Both were very, very good. They both definitely brought something very fun to the roles. Jackie Chan in particular, you can definitely tell he brought the best of his comedic chops to this role. Same with Ice Cube, did a lot of fun with that voice role as well. So I thought the two of them in particular, as far as the voice cast was concerned, were very, very strong throughout this movie. But for my negatives of this movie, though, and this really isn't a spoiler because, well, this character doesn't really appear in this movie, I am kind of one of those people where I think the best of the Ninja Turtles, the best kind of stories you can get out of the Ninja Turtles, are the ones where they go up against Shredder. And Shredder is not in this movie. And I'm one of those people where every time they've tried to kind of move away from Shredder, do something different from that, I feel like it's kind of a recipe for disaster every time the Ninja Turtles franchise does this. Ninja Turtles 3 did not have Shredder. TMNT did not have Shredder. Out of the Shadows did have Shredder, but they tried to kind of move away from that with, Bebop, Rocksteady, and I think Krang was in that movie too. So I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's one of those things where every time I feel like they try to do a story that doesn't involve Shredder, something bad kind of happens or something not as interesting always seems to happen. So for me personally, if Mutant Mayhem does get a sequel, 100% they got to bring Shredder into the mix. Definitely a crucial character in the Ninja Turtles lore. It's kind of like doing a Superman story without Lex Luthor or without General Zod. I think the two of them kind of bring out the best of Superman, just like how Shredder always brings out the best in the Ninja Turtles. Just maybe in personal preference for me, maybe some of you are really going to like all these mutant characters that show up for villains in this movie in the brief time that Baxter Stockman is in this movie too, which we're going to get here in a second. But for me personally, if you're going to do a Ninja Turtles movie, you got to have Shredder in the mix somehow. How you incorporate him is going to be creatively up to the directors and the writers. It's definitely probably the third time now they've tried to do a Ninja Turtle movie without Shredder. I'm still in the ball camp where I feel like you kind of need him to tell a good Ninja Turtles story, to bring out the best of the Ninja Turtles. Maybe just me personally, as a longtime Ninja Turtles fan. But if you're going to do it, you got to have Shredder in the mix. You got to have the Foot Clan in the mix as well. Something I feel that was definitely missing in this movie. There's also a lot of gross, puke, and distasteful humor throughout this movie. I know it's a Ninja Turtles movie. I know that's, they deal with ooze and sewers and all that kind of stuff. This time around, I feel like I was kind of hit over the head with it. There's even kind of a running joke with April O'Neil that's really not very appetizing as you're watching it. There's just a lot of gross and puke and distasteful humor throughout this movie that I thought was really just kind of not in good taste. I get it, it's Ninja Turtles. I get it, it's for families. I get it, it's for kids. I get that it's based on a television show that dealt with ooze and sewers and stuff like that. But for me personally, I felt like I was being hit over the head with it this time around. I thought the humor was just a little too gross this time around. Baxter Stockman technically is in this movie. Like I said, it's the guy who created the Mousers. But he's not in the movie very often, and he's kind of one of the people that made these mutants come to be for these villainous mutant characters. And that's just a very odd creative choice for me. It's just like, if you're going to do Baxter Stockman, please do him. I mean, you don't have Shredder in here, so please put him into the forefront as much as you can. So I thought the absence of him was very strange. He's really only in the beginning of the movie and in a flashback scene later in the movie where we find out more about these villainous mutants. And that's really about it. And they got one of the villainous characters from Mandalorian to voice him in this. I'm not even going to bother pronouncing his name. I'm sure I'm going to butcher it. But I thought the absence of Baxter Stockman was very odd here. When you see the story, I guess it makes sense why he's not in it for very long. But it's just one of those things where it's like, if you're going to use the significant Ninja Turtles villain, use him more often. I just didn't like how he was just kind of there at the beginning and then we never see him again. I also thought the idea of putting the turtles in school or having them the desire to be in human school was a little strange. And once the film kind of focuses more in on that, I also thought that was very strange. Maybe it's just me personally. There is a lot of things they do, like they get rid of their weapons and their bandanas and stuff like that. But just kind of weird. I don't know if I was completely on board for it, to be honest. So whenever they do that, not really on board for it. I also thought there was kind of too much of the mutant side of things in this story, too. I get it, it's mutant mayhem. I get it, they're going up against evil mutants in the story. I just thought they were kind of playing into that a little too much. Once again, I think I would have preferred something with Shredder, with the Foot Clan, with them doing more ninja-related things. Maybe just a personal preference from me, but I thought as far as the mutant side of the story goes, once again, they kind of bring it into full force here, and I don't know if I'm completely on board for it. And also, for my last point, I thought this film is just trying to be different for the sake of being different. And once again, creatively, I just feel like that's just not the right way to go with a Ninja Turtles movie. Bring in great ideas, bring in fresh ideas, but don't just do different for the sake of being different. I felt that was just kind of odd in this movie. So maybe for the next time around, if there really is truly a sequel to Mutant Mayhem that will happen down the line, hopefully they won't just be different to be different. Maybe just me being a traditional Ninja Turtles fan, but I would have preferred something a more traditional approach with some fresh ideas thrown in there. Overall, I'm going to give Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem an 8.5 out of 10. I think there's tons of things to love about this movie. I do think it's a great Ninja Turtles movie. I still think the 1990 and the 1991 sequel to the Ooze, are probably my two favorite Ninja Turtle films still. But this is a great movie. This is probably maybe my third or fourth favorite Ninja Turtle movie. Tons of things to love about it. I really would have preferred a story next time with either Shredder or the Foot Clan. There's kind of suggestions of that without getting into spoilers, but hopefully the next time around that's what they do for the sequel. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really like this movie. Go into it knowing it's not perfect. I think some of the reviews are being a little too nice on this one. Still a great movie. Still tons of things I love about it. And I do recommend seeing Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. 8.5 out of 10 for me.